Welcome to DucBloke Tuning and Finding the Sweet Spot. Grab a cup of coffee and like and subscribe.
And welcome back to DucBloke Tuning, Finding the Sweet Spot. Today I have the Cano Cristales by Hisenior, and I'm going to be doing a little bit of a comparison of this against the Zen's Manguard Top Pro. A little bit of a spoiler at the end of this review. I'm going to be doing two reviews, one for this and one for the Zen's Manguard Top Pro, as well as a third comparing both of them side by side, because they have the same driver configuration and they are close to each other in price. But I did discover something interesting about the Top Pro. We'll talk about that a little bit later. First, we're going to talk about the Cano Cristales though. And I apologize, it's taken me some time after the unboxing to get to this. My computer died. My motherboard decided to pack it in. So I had to buy a new PC and had to set that up and get everything up and running. So that took priority over the last few days, but I'm back up and running. And with that, let's get stuck into the Cano Cristales. Now we did the unboxing. This is a little bit of a tour around the IEM the video here. You can see it uses a gray cable. It is a modular cable. It does 2.5, 3.5, and 4.4. I've talked about this in the unboxing. It uses a knurled aluminum plug, so it's easy to change and it's very secure. And then those are the shells. They're made out of stabilized wood. You can see the wood grain in them as well, and they're purple and blue. It comes with a premium leather puck. That's the puck. It's very soft. I've gotten this for other Hisenior IEMs, and it is definitely leather. You can smell the leather as it happens here. And then it comes with 14 sets of tips. More on the specs, and they've updated their site a little bit. I know that there was some stuff saying where they weren't really disclosing what the drivers were, and I'd spoken to Gareth at Hisenior. They decided to reveal these to everyone, so everyone's very transparent about what is inside. You have two dynamic drivers. You have 4 custom design Belsing BAs that handle 800 to 3000 hertz. They have 4 Knowles, let's say super tweeter BAs that are in here that are handling the ultra highs. So it is a three-way passive crossover where the dynamic drivers are in the first part of that crossover. Then the 4 Belsings are in the second part, handling those mids and lower treble. And then in the mid to high treble region, you've got those super tweeters by Knowles that are working. And then you've got a 15 ohm impedance, which means you can run this on a decent dongle DAC, not a problem. It's not a very difficult IEM to drive. Costs $400, so $399 if you buy the default configuration. Now, you can hit the custom configuration right down here. Then it costs $50 more, and you can pick what kind of shell you want. So you can pick the faceplate, you can pick the shell, you can tell them what you want, you can send them different patterns and stuff. So they'll make this custom for you. It's a universal still fit, but it's a custom design. I know other brands like Theaudio, I think they charge $100 to change the Monarchs. Here it's like 50 bucks, so it's like half price. This is the graph off of my rig. You can find this on DucBloke.Squig.Link. It is a U-shaped tuning with a very late transition from the bass into the lower mids. And this is what makes it very thick and hard punching. It is pretty much bass and treble are equal. There are a couple of little spikes there, but overall it's very even. It is a very bassy set, has excellent bass quantity and quality. So the dynamic drivers they're using are quite good. But again, that transition is all the way here at 300 hertz and makes the, let's say, the male vocals sound a little bit thick. And I would like that Pina gain to, let's say, drop a little bit. And we'll show you the final tuning in the graphs that I did. This is my 30 song listen where I create a PEQ array of 30 different PEQs. I thought this started out slightly warm because of that late transition in the bass region into the lower mids. It made it a little bit thick. So I put it at a little bit warm and bass 2, which is quite high bass compared to most IEMs. What I added to it when I finished up with my PEQ testing, I liked it with a little bit more bass, but I also liked it where, again, it pulled that other region back a little bit. So add a little bit more brightness to it and give it a little bit more bass, and I thought it really came alive. But it's a lot more technical than that. We'll get into that when we show you the graphs. 40 songs, A/B test. So now I listen to 40 songs, and out of the box, this rate's quite high. It is the middle of A tier. It is not just squeaking in. At $400, it is the middle of A tier out of the box. And why? Its strengths are the sub bass, bass, slam, slam, note weight, soundstage, detail, and layering. And you can see that by the blue line going all the way around. And when I say its weaknesses, it doesn't mean it's let's say an underperformer. They're still above a 9. Its absolute star quality are in those strengths. The weaknesses are the lower mids, lower treble, and tonality. And I don't mean that they're off. I just mean that they're not superstars like they are the bass slam, and so forth. And you're going to see how this compares with the Top Pro and why people think the Top Pro is so damn good, because it's sort of like the polar opposite. But we'll show you that graph at the end of this. Where did it wind up? So after I did my tuning, it wound up at the lower end of S tier. So it's a 9.54. It is a much more rounded experience. That's the orange line going all the way around. And that's what I really try to do with that PEQ, is elevate the things that, let's say, weren't the superstars and bring them up to the same level of the things that were, and then absolutely try to improve those other attributes that were already strengths as well. So notable improvements, though, were the lower mids, and lower treble, which really helped with the tonality and texture in this IEM as well. Here is my bar graph, where I've now added in something new for my subscribers. You can see it's the strengths. So I'm putting in the strengths here. And this is, again, the sub bass, bass, and bass feel. And the strengths over here in the note, weight, and slam. And then the weakness here at the lower mids, upper mids, and lower treble. But I thought that the upper treble, soundstage, detail, layering, they were quite good, as well as the masking, sibilance, the timbre. This is a new way of looking at it. Where did I improve it? The most improvement, you can see the difference in the bars just here. The most improvement happened where the weaknesses were. And that comes through that fine PEQ tuning, but everything else was elevated as well. So all the attributes did improve slightly by adding parametric EQ to the tuning, but the areas where, let's say, were the weakest in this were the most improved. Here's what I did in the graph. So now this explains a little bit better. I added a little bit more sub bass, but you can see how the blue line then comes down and tucks earlier. The glide into the lower mids is tucked sooner, so somewhere around 200 hertz instead of 300 hertz. This helped, let's say, the vocals to be a little bit more clear, but you had to also control the sibilance as well. You can see here that the Pina gain was made shallower, so I brought the slope down a little bit flatter, and I gave it less gain at 3K. That made it a little bit less shouty. I thought that the sibilance changed ever so slightly, and that's that 6K region right there, and then less gain here at 8K, but actually more gain out at 10K. And what that did was it gave it very good sparkle, but again, really controlled the vocals and made them pop. So where does it wind up? It winds up at number 12 in my list. And look at the price. So it's in very good company. Just below it is the Mega 5 EST Bass Plus, and we're talking by 0.02. And this has ESTs. You can see Hisenior has pulled off something pretty cool here by eliminating the ESTs, going to 4 BAs for the super high treble, the Knowles BAs instead, and they were able to really give you a superstar for soundstage and detail and layering, but then hit it really hard with having 2 dynamic drivers in there and giving you excellent bass quality. So it went from an A tier up to an S tier. It is just below, let's say, the Quantum, and its price range is excellent. This is my little bit of a spoiler. So here you have the Cano Cristales next to the Zensmanger Top Pro, overlaid before PEQ. I'm not going to show you after PEQ. I'm only showing you before PEQ because I want to leave that for the third video. You can see why these are very different. The blue line, you can see the bass feel, the sub bass of the Cano Cristales is much better than the Zensmanger Top Pro. You can see that the Zensmanger Top Pro is better in the lower mids, the upper mids, the lower treble, the upper treble, and then the soundstage is slightly better, but the detail and layering about the same. And because the bass is much better on the Cano Cristales, it also has better slam and note weight. Then you move into the timbre, they're both about the same. Tonality on the Zensmanger Top Pro was better out of the box, and the texture was notably better. And I think that's why people are liking this. And I'm going to show you something that no one else has cottoned on to yet. These are both graphs on top of each other. You can see that they are incredibly different. The Zensmanger Top Pro actually tucks in really early at about 140 hertz and has a W shape to it. So that's that blue line going into a W just here. The Cano Cristales, when it glides here all the way out to 300, gives it a very different bass feel than the Top Pro. One of the other attributes here is that even though this seems to have more treble, it doesn't sound that way. This is a very smooth operator. The Top Pro is giving you a lot of extension, a lot of detail, really well implemented drivers, but it does have a very different bass feel to it. This is my huge spoiler. It's the same from 800 hertz all the way down to 20 hertz as the Cristales Meta. It is exactly the same. This is a meta tuning on the Top Pro. You can see that right here, the green and the blue lines, they cover each other. It's an exact duplicate all the way out to 800 hertz, and that's where they are very different, where the Vanguard Top Pro has an earlier Pina gain and then actually has better, let's say, treble as well. And I've heard both. I did a review on the Meta. It is a very well tuned IEM, but the Top Pro has much better, let's say, tonality and much better texture. It's actually a little bit of a texture beast, but both of these are very different. I'm going back to the other graph just to explain, even though these are the same driver counts between the Top Pro and the Cano Cristales, they are tuned to a different audience. But the PEQs are the most important thing to this audience, or to me, is to get the best out of it. And I can tell you that the Cano Cristales didn't disappoint at all. It actually does get into that S tier range. Okay, so wrapping it up, the Cano Cristales by Hisenior is S tier. It just scrapes in by 0.04 into the S tier range once PEQ is applied, and that's what this channel is all about. If you have bought the Cano Cristales, ask me for the PEQ. I'll email it to you at DucBloke916@gmail.com. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you tell me you're subscribed. It saves me having to ask the question. With that, please like and subscribe the video, ask questions, give comments in the comments section, and looking forward to doing the Top Pro as the next video, and then doing the direct comparison of both of these blow by blow all the way through the tuning process and find out which one, you know, is better at what. And what you're going to find out is that they're for different audiences, let's say. And with that, DucBloke out.